and welcome back to Japan and to my reaction and review to Trident with their song Continue. That's ex-members of girls rock band Kakamai. And also, if you are not aware, this is the review video. If you want to see the reaction that I've just done, pause this video, click the little link in the description below and it'll open up a separate little player where you can watch the song with me if you've just not heard it before, or if you just want to see how I reacted the first time I heard it, because this is my review. Are you ready for it? Want to watch that reaction first? You're going to pause this video? Or have you just unpaused this video? Because here comes the review. Alright, so this song really excelled in certain areas, but as always, we're honest on this channel, we don't just kiss ass, and now that I worked out right at the end of the reaction that this is the ex-members of girls rock band Kakamai, it does give me an interesting context by which to view this song. But first of all, if we just look at it as core values, because I actually, I'm glad I worked it out during the reaction, but I just read the Japanese at the bottom of the screen right after the video finished. So it was literally just as it was completing that I suddenly realised who it was I was listening to. I don't know which members are which, by the way. We checked out Girls Rock Band Kakamai, I think 3 or 4 times, and I think that was all on the previous channel before we had to restart everything. So those reviews are probably not up. But just to cover what I thought of Girls Rock Band Kakamai, probably a good idea if I mention that first of all. I really liked them, but I did say that the two things that sounded a bit problematic, there were some songs that really worked, but it sounded like they were a band who never quite clicked as to what they wanted to be. It never quite felt like all the right materials were there, but it never felt 100% in place. And there were some songs where it just sounded like the studio work had been a little bit questionable and maybe let them down a bit. In this particular instance, I would say, first of all, just to cover, the studio work on this was absolutely brilliant. Not a sound that everyone goes for. I know that sort of, when you're doing that sort of heavy rock and you have very cleanly done production as this has, I know some people don't like that, and it's, you know, it's one way of doing it. But if you're going to go for that sort of clean, big, heavy rock sound, then this is a very good example of how to do it right. Everything was crisp, clear. The things that needed to sound heavy sounded heavy. The things that needed a punch sounded punch. The guitar sounded full body. The drums punched through. The vocal was clear at the front. It was beautifully mixed and produced. So the studio work, 100%, they got that together this time. The overall sound, I must admit, it really did sound to me, and this is obviously just judging from one song, it sounded like they are in a very similar ballpark, ironically, to one of the bands who we've covered a lot here, which is Bandmade. Again, before the channel restarted, we listened to every single Bandmade song. So, I mean, that was a band we've got extensive knowledge of on this channel. And yeah, this felt like if you had put Psyche on vocals, this would almost, with a few small writing exceptions, this would almost fit really into a Bandmade sort of catalogue. And that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad sound to go for. What intrigued me about this, though, is that they got some of the qualities, just to do a Bandmade comparison just for a little moment longer while it's relevant, they got some of the qualities that worked so with Bandmade. In the chorus was big, heavy, and impactful. I mean, Bandmade have never been the greatest band at writing choruses. They do good choruses, but never sort of like ones that really excel to the point of being, oh my god, that's super catchy, that's super memorable. They are more of a band who write full songs, you know, rather than standout choruses. Most of the time, some, but you know, most of the time it's about the overall song. This felt like that again. It had a chorus which was, like many of Bandmade's, good enough to be memorable, but not sort of like super catchy or anything. And then that was kind of that sort of simple and easy to digest chorus was somewhat justified by just how creative the rest of the song was. And there's a lot of musical sort of playing around, lots of fun changes. I really felt that this was refreshingly creative. You know, they're always changing things up. Now, this is where we get to an interesting point. This might be justified slightly by the fact that this is a 3-piece band. Well, first of all, let's just say, did I like this song? I really enjoyed this song. I thought it was really great. I think even though it was going into a sort of a territory that we've more heard before, with the sort of those heavy rock sounds, I felt that this really felt like something where it just, you know, they really seemed to be throwing themselves into it 110%, and that was something that came across and made it likable. And I would be inclined to listen to this again if I wanted something insanely kinetic and, you know, with the qualities it's got. I think probably my only criticism really here is that, and like I said, this might come from being a 3-piece band, it didn't feel like the song had a rooted core. Now, for example, when we're talking about Bandmate, I've often said they've got 4 members who are absolutely excellent at what they do, and then 1 member in Miku who's just kind of like your standard rhythm player. She's not excessively twiddly. She just kind of knows how to play the core sound. And the reason that is one of the most important things for Bandmate is that she's there kind of as the underpinning that everything gets to play around. She adds the backing vocals to give Psyche a bit more room to go a little bit more crazy. She adds a solid rock chord to allow Konami's guitar to go a little bit more crazy and give room for Misa to do more playful bass lines, which she wouldn't be able to do if, it was just bass and lead guitar. Now, in the case of what we've got here, with Trident, is we have a 3-piece band. Now, I noticed at certain points when there was a guitar solo, you got layered guitar, so there was a second guitar being played, where obviously they just multi-tracked it. Nothing wrong with that. Loads of 3-piece bands do that, and obviously live, the bass would just fill in that space instead. However, it felt a lot of the time that I loved the drum change-ups, but they were happening all the time. I loved the crazy walking bass, but it was happening pretty much most of the time. And with that all going on, the song felt a little bit like everyone was maybe not gelling so much. I think the way that this would have perhaps worked best is if maybe I was expecting them to have a bridge where they just went for something real headbangy simple. I was reminded recently we did reviews of a couple of different versions of a live version and a cover version of Love Survived by Scandal. And in the middle of that, it has a bridge where they go to this simple, heavy riff. Which in that song felt a little bit like, okay, just kind of playing it by the numbers. But in a song like this, it would have suddenly tied everything together to just suddenly have everyone go into a simple, heavy bit where just everything gains that power of being uniform. I just kind of felt at certain points like they were playing against each other rather than with each other. And yet, like I say, I find it hard to call that a criticism because overall, I loved the fact that they were being so playful. So again, there are certain elements where, I mean, to be honest, I think what would really help this band, and this is coming from me, anyone who knows my past, is going to be interesting for me to say, I think they could use another guitar. I think they could use a Miku. And clearly by the way that this song's recorded with like the layering, I think that they kind of feel the same too. I think a 4th member, just sort of laying down the simple guitar stuff underneath, or maybe someone who plays lead to allow the lead singer just to play the more simple stuff herself, that would be a good thing. And I think it would help them to cement more of a core to their sound, because clearly everyone wants to be playful in this band, and that's a fantastic thing. But it did make it sound a little bit disjointed in the final listen. So overall, like I say, we're always honest on this channel. We always try to look for things to critique as well. I would say, though, that to me, this is really promising, really enjoyable song, fantastic musicianship, spot on studio work as well. This to me sounds like something which is really the beginning of something that could be great. Maybe the Bandmade reference was partly because the video slightly reminded me of a Bandmade video as well. Neon bar lights, anyone? I know I've spent a lot of this video trying to sort of pick through things that I think, and there's always more to talk about when you're talking about the things that you want to critique than there are in just saying, hey, it was all great. But overall, I would really strongly say that I'm looking forward a lot to hearing more of this group, and I certainly felt that was a really wonderful, rounded, professional product that just showed, it was oozing with talent. So I am certainly looking forward to hearing more of it. I do think that, like I said, I do think this song could have been more jointed. It could have used a bridge that had tied things together. I think we could have taken out the guitar solo and replaced it with something which was more just like a heavy, headbangy band all comes together for a riff part or something like that. Again, this is me suggesting riffs. This is me. So anyone who knows me, I'm suggesting these things because, horses for courses. Some things work in certain places. Anyway, like I say, brilliant song. Really enjoyed it. Had to sort of critique some things about it, but definitely looking forward to hearing more of them. And I'm just so glad to see them going. It was sad when we heard that Girls Rock Band Kakamai was throwing in the towel. So it's really good to see that something has come of that as a form of they've developed. The cocoon has opened, so to speak. Anyway, As always, that's my opinion. You tell me what you think. Get in the comments. Tell me your opinions. Try to justify them as I do mine. And I look forward to seeing those. You can feel free to like, subscribe, or follow any of the social medias linked in our description below if you want to have more conversations with other people who are interested in Japanese music as well, as they're all over our social medias as well. And big thank you to everyone on my Patreon. Patreon guys, as always, keeping this thing going. Really, honestly are. So yeah, thank you to them, and thank you for making it through to the end of this video. So until I hopefully see you soon in Japan for the next one, for now, ciao ciao.